Hello, and officially welcome to a little information session about Śakti Sādhanā, our upcoming 200-hour tantric immersion and yoga teacher training. We wanted to take the opportunity today to just give everyone a chance to meet our teaching team, our community of lead teachers, assistant teachers, and then assistants to the teachers as well, so that you can get a sense of essentially who you will be held and supported by throughout the process if you choose to join us. So we'll begin with just a brief practice to ground ourselves, center ourselves, maybe clear our minds a little bit. And I'll also chant the daily prayers of the Himalayan tradition so that we can call in the enlightened masters, teachers, and sages to be with us today as well. So feel free to make yourself comfortable. If you need to make any little adjustments to your seat, you're welcome to do that. Little wiggle, fidget, whatever you need. And then when you're feeling good about that, you can allow the eyes to softly close and start to bring your attention inward. As soon as the eyes close, begin to make the transition from predominantly external orientation to predominantly internal. Take a little scan of the physical body. And become more aware of the subtle sensations, anything that is requiring your immediate attention, and any little adjustments that you can make to accommodate a greater sense of steadiness in the body, softened by ease. Drop awareness into the belly. Notice if there is any tightness or holding in the belly, and do your best to let that go. Begin to experience a little movement in the belly associated with the breath on a very deep internal level, as though there is a higher intelligence and benevolence which is guiding the breath in and out of the body. Granting us the opportunity to loosen our effort. Rather than identifying strongly as the breather, see if it's possible to begin to experience the body as being breathed. This loosening of effort and tension in favor of trust gradually allows the breath to begin to flow more smoothly and steadily. Inhales and exhales, receiving and releasing, become balanced. The breath is effortlessly full, deeply satisfying, without our striving or struggling to make it full. And the breath begins to take on a seamless and ceaseless quality. Inhale gives way effortlessly to exhale. And from exhale, inhale naturally emerges. Mind and breath begin to flow together in an endless and beginningless stream. And all of this is happening silently. Any tension or constriction present in the throat or nasal passages simply melts away. That last layer of control and self-effort dissolving. As we give way a little bit more to that experience of trustful surrender. Trusting in the body's innate wisdom and the benevolent guidance of prana to provide all that is needed and more. Let's enjoy 3 more breaths with awareness predominantly at the navel center. And the nostrils. And the space we'll refer to as the midbrain, the center point of the space which the head occupies. Almost directly back of the eyebrow center, and then a little above. And if possible, stay open to experiencing this center almost like a portal. That grants you access to the vast expanse of the inner world. And allowing awareness to continue to rest and blossom in this space. We'll chant the daily prayers of the Himalayan tradition.
Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Sādhanā Vavatu, Sādhanā Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavai, Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishawahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shiva Shaktya Yuktu Yadi Bhavati Shakta Prabhavitum, Nache Devam Devo Nakalu Kushala Spanditumapi, Athastwamaratyam Harihara Virinchati Virapi, Pranantum Stotum Va Katamakrita Punyaha Prabhavati, Avidyanamanta Stimiramiira Dvipanagari, Jatanam Chaitanya Stabakamakaranda Sruti Sritihi, Daridranam Chinta Manigunanika Janma Jaladau, Nimagnanam Damshra Muraripuvaraha Bhavati, Sutta Sindormadye Suravita Pivati Parivrite, Mani Dvipe Nipo Pavanavati Chintamani Grihe, Shivakare Manche Paramashiva Paryanka Nilayam, Bhajanti Tvam Danya Katichana Chidananda Lahari. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Notice whatever is present in the body, senses, breath, mind. And when you're ready, you can bring the hands to heart. Maybe bow the head to the heart. And rub the palms together. Place the palms lightly over the eyes for another breath or two. Invite the eyes to blink open, and when you're ready, hands can move away from the face. So let us begin with just a round of introductions. Chrissie, would you mind going first? You okay with that? Okay, go for it, love.
So my name is Chrissie. I am usually based in the UK, but I'm moving around a lot this year. And I've been teaching and practicing yoga in a committed way for about 8 years. It's changed my life, and it continues to feel like a blessing both to practice, but also to feel like we get to connect and share and walk alongside each other in the path. So I'm really, really honored always and excited to be here. I suppose my why or my reason for practicing and sharing is to experience freedom and wholeness. And that's been the reason that I keep coming back for more, to realize, despite all of the conditioning and all the beliefs that would tell me otherwise, that there is something deep, deep inside of me that is already enough. And the more that I access that and touch that, the more that I get to live in a really loving, kind, compassionate way. And I don't think there's been any other style of practice or tradition that has allowed me to access it in such a deep way. So that's why I'm here. And I feel really lucky to be sharing alongside some really incredible humans, teachers, assistants, everyone who's here. And I'm really looking forward to whatever this next year together will bring for those that do decide to join us for the adventure. And I think that's it really. Is there anything else specific you want me to cover?
I don't think so. Just a sense of who you are and why you're here, I think, is beautiful. It speaks so much to the potency of this philosophy and set of practices. Thanks. You're welcome. India, would you like to go next?
Hello, everyone. My name is India Amara. I am Canadian, so I recently moved from Toronto, the big city, to the beautiful West Coast, and I'm right in the pocket of nature, which has been my goal for a long time now. I've been practicing yoga committedly for probably 12 years, and I've been in a realm or opportunity of sharing it with others for about 5 years. My main vocation, however, has been tattooing, and that probably sounds like a bizarre combination, but as you and we all discover more and more that yoga ultimately is the best support and kind of motivator and opportunity to make everything better. It's the enhancer of all things. So through my practice in that world, I share meditation and lots of techniques that I've learned through the tradition and through this practice to support people through major transformation, which is probably my life's purpose, is to help people through transformative experiences for them to feel and realize and remember themselves more fully, which is what yoga has done for me. It's made me realize the innate power that I have, the innate connection that I live, the the portal was a good word earlier you used, Natalie, the portal to understand that we are all part of this incredible and infinite system of natural harmony. And through Tantra and yoga, I understand kind of the map or the access points. So it's supremely fulfilling for me and ever humbling and ever inspiring. And that's why I'm here. I'm honored, deeply, deeply honored to be a part of this training. I mean, we all get to receive so much from it. No matter if you're a student or you're an active teacher, or we all learn so much just by participating together. So I'm excited to share it all with you. Thank you.
Thanks, India. Tanmay, can I come to you next?
Namaste everyone. So I am Tanmay and I am from Rishikesh, India, which is the yoga capital of the world. Since my childhood, I used to do yoga, but after the COVID, I used to hang and with my daily purpose that this course and they both changed my life. I feel the connection with myself after doing yoga, the connection between my breath, body, and mind. The relationship between the gross body and the subtle body and my spiritual body too comes together when I do the yoga. The connection which I made during this period of time with the people, with my body, with the world is just totally amazing. I just praise all of us that we just doing yoga and getting the Indian community to the whole world, the awareness of doing yoga Ayurveda by improving health of someone, by getting someone away from the depression, away from the anxiety is a great deal with nowadays. Like those person who just helping each other is working as the god, the guru. The guru is the one who always connect the individual to the individual soul to the universal. So I just want to thank Natalie ma'am and Chrissie ma'am for this offering that I'm sitting here and talking to you all guys, and I'm feeling so blessed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanmay. We love you. When you were speaking, I just had a vision of you becoming like a very influential teacher of yoga at some point in the near future. I'm feeling it's unavoidable. You're gonna do some really big things, my friend. All right, Ella, can we come to you?
Yeah, if I can remember where the unmute button was, yeah. So I'm Ella. I've been practicing yoga for over 10 years. And in the last 3 or 4 years, I had more of a pulling towards wanting to teach it, but never really doing anything about it until, well, the beginning of last year, when I just took it upon myself to speak to my yoga instructor about it, and then she put me in touch with Chrissie, and yeah, I've not looked back. It's the best thing I've ever done. During the training, I was made redundant from my 9-to-5 job, and instead of falling apart, which Ella before would have done, the training and everything just gave me the tools to be able to pick myself up and create my own business and dog walking, which that and my yoga teaching works so well together, and it just brings me so much joy every day. And I don't know where I would be if I hadn't have done the training. So I'm very thankful and will always be grateful. Every time I step on the mat, it brings a smile to my face, and I can't wait to see other people flourish as well.
Thank you, Ella. Connie, is this a good time? Connie's got a little infant, so sometimes it's not always the best time. It looks like maybe it is.
Yeah, she's asleep. She fell asleep during meditation. So my name is Connie. I live in Sacramento, California. I've been this will be my 3rd year practicing yoga. I got into it during the pandemic. I I was going through like a really rough period at work, and my depression and anxiety had kind of taken over, and therapy, I just found it to be just so much because I lacked like the tools to emotionally regulate. And I felt like I would come out of those therapy sessions so unwound after an hour of just picking up my problems, and I didn't have any tools to kind of ground myself and bring myself back to a place where I could function. And that led me to yoga and to Nikki, who I started with. And after a year of practicing with her, she introduced me to Natalie. And I did one of these introduction sections, and we did Vishoka meditation. And I found it very touching and special, like what I needed to hear, that there was a part of me that had never been touched by my trauma or my pain, and that kind of countered this belief that there was parts of me that were broken and couldn't be healed. And so yeah, this whole journey, that those 10 months of 2022 Sādhanā, they were transformational. They were healing. They helped me find my voice and find myself. And yeah, I think I started it mostly to help myself, but with this idea that eventually I would feel confident and like I'd embodied these practices enough to be able to share them with other people. And I can't say enough about taking it with you through your hard times and your good times. Like I got up and meditated every day for the last stretch of my pregnancy and delivery, and I brought it into the delivery room with me, and it made all the difference in getting through like a really difficult experience, but seeing it with all of its beauty still.
Yeah.
And I think when you make your practice part of your daily practice, then it's easy to remember it when you're feeling stressed or when life is getting chaotic, or to help balance you and get you through the good times and the bad times. And I want to learn to better share that with people. And so I'm excited for this year where I get to transition into more of a training and teaching aspect.
Yeah.
Excited to share this with all of you. Thank you.
Connie, I will attest that she was there meditating every day up till the day that she gave birth. Like the day that she gave birth, we were meditating together and she was on her hospital bed. And then the next day we meditated together and she had a baby in her arms, which was just so cool to be a part of. So cool. So I'll give Lea-Claude a chance to kind of like settle before I make her talk. And I'll just introduce myself a little bit and share a little bit of my why as well. Similar to a lot of people, and I think this is a very common thread, I found yoga when I was feeling very broken, and it tends to find us, I think, in our darker moments, and avail itself to us. And I started practicing on a daily basis, really just so that I could get through the day. It was my lifeline. And after about 3 years of just using yoga for survival, I started to realize that the brief respite of peace and clarity that I was experiencing just at the end of the practice started to expand. And at some point, it became more my norm than the anxiety. And when that shift happened, it was a real startling moment of like, holy crap, I've changed. Life has changed. And it gave me the opportunity to reflect back and recognize that it was the yoga, the mysterious yoga that I knew little to nothing about. I would just show up and have somebody guide me through a practice, and that was that. So at that point, I started to get much more curious, and I had the wild notion of someday wanting to become a yoga teacher so that I could share with other people these philosophies and practices that had given me access to basically a new lease on life. And shortly after that, I moved from New York to Los Angeles and found a studio that was offering a teacher training and signed up. And I had no idea what I was signing up for, really. I thought like all yoga teacher trainings were the same, because I just figured that they would have to be, but they're definitely not. They're all very unique. But I got really lucky that one of the teachers was a woman that became my teacher for the next 8 years, and will always hold that special space of teacher in my heart. Her name is Tracy Stanley, and she introduced me to tantric yoga, and she introduced me to the Himalayan tradition, which after a few years of practicing and studying with her began to feel like home. And through Tracy, I started practicing and studying with her teacher at the time, Rod Stryker, and then through both of them, finally got up the guts to start practicing and studying with Panditji and the senior teachers at the Himalayan Institute. I don't know why it took me like building up the guts, but I just felt like Panditji was like Santa Claus or something, and the Himalayan Institute was the North Pole, and it only existed in your imagination, or you needed to have like special magical powers to be able to go there, which is not true. That's incredibly accessible. And I encourage all of you to somehow make a connection with Panditji. And there's an opening line to Panditji's commentary on the Yoga Sutras that basically says that human beings are an island of excellence. To be born human is the greatest gift, and to die before realizing that gift is the greatest loss. And it took me a really long time to begin to recognize the validity of that statement. It felt very, very lofty and out of reach for a really long time. And then probably just in the last 3 years, really, it's been a recognition of like, no, this is very, very true. It's a tremendous gift to have been born human. And yoga as a philosophy and systematic practice gives us the opportunity to really lay claim to that gift. It allows us to maximize our humanity. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, what our intention as teachers, guides, fellow students and practitioners, because that's what we are more than anything else in any setting of yoga, is to enhance our experience of life. It doesn't really matter that much if you can touch your toes with keeping your legs straight. It doesn't matter so much if you can stand on your head for an extended period of time. Those things can be very helpful. They can be worthwhile goals to move in the direction of, but really the intention is to enhance and ultimately maximize this gift that we have been given of being human. And what that looks like, according to the yoga scriptures, is a life that is equally fulfilling internally and externally, where we are immersed in this experience of freedom to the extent that we are not at the mercy of anything, including our own thoughts and mental constructs. We are completely liberated, and accompanying that freedom is this experience of everlasting fulfillment, the kind of fulfillment that once we tap into it, it is there forever. It never fades, it never diminishes or tarnishes. It's the essence of who we are. And so it's really just a matter of uncovering that and coming home to it, becoming reestablished in it, and then allowing that freedom and fulfillment to kind of live through us, if you will. So that's why I'm here. I like to help people learn how to help themselves in a meaningful way. And yoga and tantra have completely transformed my experience of life for the better, and will continue to do so, I think, until my last day. So I'm here for the long haul. All right, Lea-Claude, did I buy you enough time? I'm going to ask you just to introduce yourself, give us a little sense of who you are and why you are here.
Hi. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. So I'm Lea-Claude. I'm French Canadian, so I speak French. It's my first language. So if I have an accent, that's why. I work as a yoga teacher, but mostly I just practice. And I also work as an interpreter with newcomers. So I traduce, but with my voice, with newcomers. I feel it's like really, I don't know, like two opposite things in my life, but they're like finding a way together. I really love like accessibility in yoga. And yeah, there's a lot of things, I don't know, that comes to mind, like I don't know, inequalities and justice and things like that. I'm really into that. And I think yoga helped me like to manage life with all this. And saying this is like with all the things happening in my life. So it's a really nice tool because I'm really a rational person. I think a lot, like everything. So I think yoga, like I'm thinking about it, and yoga helped me to get into my body. So to find a balance, like in between body and mind. I'm still very human, so my mind is still very active, and it's really important for me to say it. Yoga helped me. I've been practicing since like 15 years now, and Nat, you were saying like you were broken when you found yoga. And it's funny because I wasn't. And I find it funny because it's like, I don't know, I just had the call to start yoga. And then I got broken lots of times. And it really helped me. Like it's a really nice tool. Life is challenging. I've been dealing with lots of human things, like I guess everybody, and it helped me to find myself mostly in all this. And I've been really anxious in the past, and I think I was really out there, and it's kind of the same of like coming home into the body. It's, yeah, I don't think I could say it better than that way. It's just a nice way to come home again and again and again and remember. And it's just great. I love it, and I'm really glad to be with you. I think I could speak like forever about yoga, but it's my introduction. If at some point you don't understand my accent, just tell me the words and no problem.
I love your accent. I could listen to you speak nonstop. and I understand everything you're saying, and I don't think I'm alone in that either.
Cool.
Yeah, it just adds an extra layer of charm.
Thanks.
Joe, you're here with us as well. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Blimey. Okay. So anyone watching the playback, I'm not one of the teachers, I'm one of the students. I also came to yoga and meditation when I was at the bottom of a hole. About 20 years ago, when I was going through some severe depression. And then again, I suppose about 2 years ago, ish, I've been kind of committedly practicing and studying and kind of gradually getting drawn further and further into it. And I'm just finding, you know, more recently that I'm just kind of being called to teach, basically. So here I am.
So here you are. Awesome.
Yeah.
We got to have a consultation a couple of weeks ago now. And as soon as we started chatting, I was like, oh yeah, good fit. This is going to be really fun. Yeah, so welcome. We're really excited to have you here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And with that, I will say that anyone who receives this recording and is interested in maybe having a one-on-one conversation, that can be a really good way to just learn a little bit more about what the training is and how it might be applicable in your life, and to see if it's the right fit. Because like I mentioned, there are a gazillion teacher training programs out there, and they are not all the same. They're all so unique based on the teachers that are putting them together and the tradition or no tradition that they are rooted in or connected to. So it's worth your time and your energy to learn as much as you can about the people that are offering it and to see if you resonate. And if you're interested in a teacher training and for some reason this is not the one that resonates, but you still want to chat, that's cool too. And we know lots of people who are offering teacher trainings that we love and adore and would be happy to send you in their direction if for whatever reason, even if it's just timing, schedule, if you prefer to do something in person, anything along those lines. I think all of the teachers on the staff and the assistants as well, it's really so much less about come study with us. And it's much more about how can we support you? How can we be of service? And if that means like the Santa Claus at Macy's in Miracle on 34th Street? Yeah, we'll send you someplace else if it's a better fit. Usually I make food analogies. Today it's movies for some reason. So let's see, other things that are good to know. The teacher training is really more of an immersion than anything else. Will you know how to teach yoga at the end of it? Absolutely. Ella and Tanmay and Connie just finished. Claire also just finished. And I'm stalking their Instagram, and Connie's nurturing new life at the moment, but she's still teaching in her way. And Ella is out there doing the thing and just graduated, and Claire as well just graduated and is out teaching. And one of my first graduates from a training 2 years ago is now facilitating her own teacher training that I get to be a guest teacher on. So very wonderful success stories in terms of people getting out there and being able to teach with confidence. And Tanmay, I don't know what you're up to exactly right now, but like I said, you're going to be like standing on a mountaintop with thousands of people listening to your voice at some point. I just know it. So we're going to nurture you as much as we can between now and then. So yes, you will learn how to share yoga from a really grounded place. We are gifted to be members of the Himalayan tradition, which means that you are able to receive from so much more than just us as a team or family of facilitators. We serve as an access point to you, connecting you to a tradition that dates back as far as yoga does. It is the tradition of the Himalayan masters, and it's the real deal. And these philosophies and practices that we have the privilege of practicing ourselves and then sharing as well are time tested. They are tried and true. So we know the efficacy, the impact, not just from one day to the next, but generation upon generation. We can see the impact that one person's practice has on their children and grandchildren. That's one of the benefits of being plugged into a living tradition. And another benefit is that there are many aspects of yoga that are a little bit cryptic and a little bit out of reach if you're just studying from a book, or if you're studying with a teacher who has not maybe received the teachings from a living lineage. And that's for our own protection, because a lot of these practices are extraordinarily powerful. So being able to have access to a lineage that can unlock things for you, whether it's a mantra or a specific pranayama practice, anything along those lines, is also of great benefit. It helps to accelerate your access to the potency of the practices in a way that keeps you safeguarded and protected. So just a couple of perks there. If you're curious about learning more about the Himalayan tradition, there are so many different ways that you can do that. You can head directly to the Himalayan Institute's website. I believe it is himalayaninstitute.org. And you can also pick up books that are written by some of the prominent teachers, some of the more recent teachers. Living with the Himalayan Masters is Swami Rama's autobiography. The Himalayan Masters is a book written by Pandit Rajmani Tiganayat that highlights some of the great sages of the tradition. And in some ways, it's almost like our introduction sequence that we just did, where we all got to talk about how we found yoga and the challenges that we were facing and how yoga helped us overcome them. That's very similar to what's happening in the Himalayan Masters, because all of these teachers, all of these sages experienced life as humans and have all gone through their heartache and broken periods. And then we get to learn about how these philosophies and practices helped them mend themselves and then step into their grandeur as human beings, which then ultimately had a ripple effect for thousands of years. And we're still benefiting from the work that they did through their practices. So yeah, 10-month training, back to details. I tend to get a little esoteric sometimes. 10 months virtual, so that we can be in this international community. I'd love to maybe have Ella or Connie or Tanmay speak to the experience of a virtual training, because I think for a lot of people that is a bit of a drawback initially. They think, oh, I would really prefer to be in person. And we do this for a number of reasons. One, because it does give us access to an international community of students, and we're able to learn and grow together in a really meaningful way from a vast array of perspectives. It also makes the training a lot more accessible because there isn't as much lofty overhead on rental spaces and things like that. It allows for us to then scholarship folks who may not be able to participate in a teacher training otherwise. And that's really important to all of us. So people that have a strong desire to participate in a yoga teacher training, to receive these teachings, but might not have the financial means at this point in time to pay for it or pay for it in full, we still want to make it accessible. And by virtue of hosting it on Zoom instead of in person, that gives us the ability to do that as well. It also allows us to have what feels like a more integrable, more easily integrated experience because it takes place over 10 months rather than diving in, receiving a whole bunch of life-changing material, basically somewhere around 4,000 to 8,000 years worth of very intense content in a month or so. We can parcel it out a little bit more slowly over the course of 10 months, have kind of an intensive weekend, and then give you a chance to incorporate everything that you've learned. And then we come back again a month later, have a fairly intense weekend, and then you've got time to incorporate and integrate. What I have found in my own experience of that more elongated experience, and then also what I've heard from students, is that when you're finished, you are ready to teach, and or you have a personal practice that can then carry you forward, because we have been practicing together with such consistency and continuity for 10 months. You just keep going. And there's not quite as jarring an effect of, okay, it's over now. What the heck do I do for my own practice and or as a teacher? So a lot of those things that come into play. Our virtual gatherings are on Zoom. And they are broken up so that ideally you're not spending too much time sitting in front of a computer screen. It'll be 2 hours on Friday and 5 hours of actual screen time on both Saturday and Sunday. We'll do 2.5 hours, a 2-hour break, and then 2.5 hours again, so that every moment that we're spending together, we get to be as present as possible rather than starting to glaze over because we've just been staring at the screen for too long. And so that comes to 12 hours of in-person content each month. And then you'll also receive 8 hours of pre-recorded content, which will include some lectures, some tutorials on specific techniques, and then also complete practices. You'll receive 4 complete practices each month. So that's 1 new practice each week. So at the end of it, you're going to have 40 unique, complete practices that are recorded and available for you to return to year after year after year, which is a great sort of wealth for you as a practitioner, but then also as a teacher. You'll be able to see the whys and the hows of specific practices that we've put together for you. And those 40 practices are woven together in a krama, which you'll learn means basically wise progression, so that we can teach this in as holistic a way as possible, in a way where each practice is kind of building up to and supporting what is yet to come. And then you'll also have some one-on-one and small group mentorship opportunities. And Chrissie will play a pretty big role in the mentorship in terms of, okay, how do I now turn this content into something that I can teach and share in a meaningful way? She is masterful at that. So she'll be kind of heading that up. And then you'll also have small groups that you'll meet with that will be hosted either by myself, Chrissie, Lea-Claude, or India. You'll also have one of our assistants, Ella, Tanmay, or Connie, checking in with you and making sure that you have all of the support that you need. You've got a small army of people that are dedicated to helping you throughout this journey. And then it really can become a lifelong relationship. I believe very firmly in continuity of relationship in one way or another. And I also believe that once that commitment has been made between a student and a teacher, though the student may wander, the teacher remains, and the teacher remains available forever, always open to receiving the student back and guiding and encouraging as much as is necessary and as much as is possible. So it's not a one and done kind of a thing. It's a, here we are, now you're stuck with us. Is there anything else that I'm missing that's sort of officially kind of stuff? Maybe how to apply? There's an application on our course platform. That's kind of a big one. The application is not us evaluating whether or not you are worthy of participating in training. It really is just an opportunity for us to begin to get to know you a little bit more and to give you a chance to really think about, why do I want to do this? What are my goals? And what are some of the potential obstacles that I may need to overcome in order to complete this, and for it to be as meaningful as possible? And it just gives us an opportunity to kind of create a foundation for the relationship that will then continue to develop for the next 10 months, 10 decades, whatever that happens to be. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is the financial end of things. The tuition for the training is $3,108 US. 108 of that goes toward our scholarship fund, so that we can continue to compensate the teaching staff, but then also make the training available to anyone who really feels compelled and drawn to what we have to offer and the way that we are offering it. And then the $3,000 can either be paid in full, or it can be paid in 10-month installments. So that's all accessible. Plus, we have a very open-ended scholarship program. we really believe that obviously we need to be compensated for our time so that we can dedicate our time to doing this. But I don't think any of us really think of yoga as just a job, just a thing that we do to make money. It is far less a career and far more a calling. And if somebody feels like this is the right place and we are the right people to be sharing these teachings, and if this is the right time, then you will not be turned away. So please don't let financial stipulations be the thing that deter you from something that can completely transform the way that you experience your life. If it feels right, reach out, we'll chat, and we'll figure out something that works. Okay, I think that's all the official stuff. Anything anyone else can think of? Ella, do you want to say anything about what it was like to learn all of this material in a virtual setting rather than in person?
Just that it really did work. I looked at so many other trainings before I was introduced to this one, and they just didn't feel right, and it didn't feel like I don't know, it just felt like they were all going to be rushed. They might not have been, and they were probably very well planned out, but there was just something about this, and also knowing that there's people all over the world also doing it at the same time was just really great. Chrissie and Natalie are always there for support anytime. It didn't have to be on the weekend that you were doing the training, so you could always reach out about anything. And yeah, I just felt held and supported throughout the whole thing, so definitely recommend it.
Thanks, love. All right, any final thoughts?
I think that spreading it out over 10 months made all the difference for me too. Like, it's as it is over 10 months, it is so much content to cover. And I feel like it would have been overwhelming, and I would have like left feeling like if I'd done it all in a like the way a lot of in-person training teachings are, because of the nature of it, you do it all so compacted, and then you feel like you need to go back and revisit each section so that you can actually familiarize yourself with it. Like, it just washes over you. This way, there was time to read the supplemental books. There was time to get familiar with the content and really practice those practices that you provided and broke down for us, and get curious. And because of the nature of yoga, that these things make you look into yourself. If it brought up emotions, that you had time to process and grow from that as well. So I just feel like from that perspective, you get so much more out of the 10 months. And as far as not being in person, I found it to be very convenient, and I don't think that it got in the way of like having my form corrected when my camera was on. But no, you guys gave lots of very helpful, like that type of thing that you're like, oh, well, if I do need correction, and again, not that being able to touch your toes is the more important part of it. The more advanced you get, the more subtle it is, and that can be done perfectly online. And to what Ella was saying too, yeah, I felt held and supported the entire time. So if I did have questions, or I did find that it was bringing up a lot of emotions, I was able to reach out to not just the teachers, but the students. It just, we really began to hold and support each other too. And I think it's really special that I was able to meet all of these people in other countries. And I was up very early, but for me, it was worth it. I recommend it.
Thanks, Connie. Awesome. Yeah, I think the last thing that I will say is that if you are curious and would like to learn more, reach out to any of us. We'll all be happy to chat. And as soon as you decide that this is the right thing for you, then you'll have access to the course. And we are starting to release some of the content from the first module a little bit at a time, a new lecture or practice or tutorial each week between now and our first module, which is at the end of June. So you can start to dive in, get your hands on some of the books, and begin practicing with us. And I'll also give you access to the Sutra Satsanga, which is our weekly gathering where we read one verse at a time, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and Panditji's commentary on them. And that's a really great way to start immersing yourself in the world of Tantric Yoga and the Himalayan tradition as well. So there you have it. Thank you everyone so much for your time. I'm so excited to spend 10 more months in your presence and 10 months with you for the first time, Joe. And I loved having you here as well. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, and we'll be together again soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.